Am I seen here?
Yes.
Is my slides seen?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, at the outset, good morning to you all, and thank you very much, the Trichur Management Association office bearers and the organizers of this. I would specifically like to mention a few names. Mr. Francis George for a wonderful introduction. Mr. George Joseph, who is also the CEO of TMA, for stitching it through. Mr. Manjilas, I don't know whether he is here in the group. The president of TMA. The former president of TMA, Mr. Anand Menon, the former president of TMA, Mr. Krista George, who is a chairman of ICON, the Naipunya faculty who has been Naipunya school and the faculty members who have been instrumental in propagating this idea across, and of course, Mr. T. N. Ramswamy, who is one of the judges. Thank you very much. I would. We have a time now. I think it's about 10:38. As per the plan, 10:40 it is supposed to begin, so we will begin now. We will have about 75 80 minutes of presentation by me, and or 75 minutes 70 minutes of presentation by me, and the next 20 minutes could be utilized for question and answers. And since it is a large audience, and if we are going to get you to speak and answer the question, it may become a cacophony. So as Mr. Francis George had mentioned, please send your questions to Mr. George Joseph either through the chat mode in here or in the WhatsApp group as mentioned by Mr. Francis George, who will acknowledge you and read it out so that I could answer your queries. Okay. So the idea behind the whole thing is about the business contest plan that Trichur Management Association has instituted about 12 years back. 12 years എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു വ്യാഴവട്ട കാലമാണ്. ഒരു വ്യാഴഗ്രഹം സൂര്യനെ ചുറ്റുന്ന സമയത്തിനാണ് നമ്മൾ 12 years എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So about 12 years back, and this year they had actually tried to take it to a bigger audience, bigger level. I would request the participants to kindly have your Zoom muted so that communication is effective and we don't get any distraction from within. Okay. So this is the 12th year, and I understand, I have seen that this has gone and grown in size and substance. Congratulations to Trichur Management Association for that. I also had gone through the brochure or the write-up that the TMA has written or developed for sending it to you as to what are all the rules and regulation and what does it contain, etc. Once again, a major congratulatory thanks to Mr. Krista George for sponsoring the prizes as well as being the brand behind or the sponsor of this program. Yeah. Now I had actually gone through the brochure and dovetailed. That means I have aligned my presentation in accordance with the points mentioned therein. But that means I must have changed some from my original plan and aligned completely my presentation in accordance with the TMA guidelines, so that you will not have any problem or you will not have any identity crisis. Now, I also, before I start, I also understand from the TMA people, particularly Mr. Ramswamy, who is having so many years of experience in India and abroad, that you are going to, when you submit your presentation, you are going to be judged based on the originality of the idea. There are weightages given accordingly, the commercialization possibilities of this business or your business plan, your marketing capabilities, your financial feasibility, the financial feasibility of this project, your presentation skills and your alignment within the team and your teamwork thereof, as well as weightage is given to the risk analysis, that is the risk analysis, risk mitigation, and breaking even, etc. So that is a guidelines. I will mention it once again so that you will bear this in mind, because that particular element is not in the brochure. The validity and originality of the idea is one where the weightage is given. The commercial feasibility of running this project in physical form or in whatever form it is another. Marketing is the third weightage plan. Financial feasibility is the fourth. Your presentation skills and teamwork is the fifth, and the risk analysis and risk mitigation plans are the sixth. So all these have points and weightages. You will be rated based on this, and accordingly you will be shortlisted, and the shortlisted candidates will be asked to present on a virtual board, and thereafter the judges will decide as to who is the winner. And I think there's a plethora of prizes going to come. It is not only going to be the winner and the runner-up. There are so many, I think 5 to 6 presentations, or 5 to 6 teams are eligible to win prizes. That is what I understand. So that being the preface of my presentation, let me get into the plan. So I hope I don't get to see everyone because I have a big presentation in my screen. I only see the very minimal level of people. Since you are all also most of you are on mute, and you may not be able to communicate with me. So therefore, to the extent possible, I'll try to make it interesting. Now, but I want to hear from Joe Joseph as well as Francis George that can I go completely English? Can I go completely Malayalam? Can I go Manglish? Or which way you will prefer to have this done, Mr. Joseph and Francis George?
Completely English. I think we may have students from outside of Kerala also.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for the guidance. Okay. All right. So we are here in the morning to understand how to develop an effective business plan. Those of you who are business management students or even commerce management students, etc., you must have had some inkling of it. And today, Google, God being where he is, all you needed to Google and you'll get plethora of templates and samples and content related to how to make a business plan. So if you have a self-learning environment, probably you may be able to do it without even my cajoling or without even my presentation. But all the more, since already Google God is there and you can get the input from there, you could take whatever I tell you as a supplementary, as a complementary element to whatever you are learning, so that you can come out with an effective presentation, and the presentation will go places to win prizes. I do realize that while being students, whatever recognitions that you get, particularly in terms of business plan presentation, idea hackathon, etc., definitely stand in good stead in your career, whether it is employment or whether it is entrepreneurship. So I definitely urge all of you to, if at all you're going into it, be serious about it, work hard to come out with a fantastic business plan and the presentation thereof, so that you will be recognized and your recognition will stand in very good stead in your career and in your future growth and life. Okay. Now, so what is a business? So therefore, I am saying that to lots of the people who are in front of me, you are basically aware of a business plan. At the same time, whatever you are aware, whatever you have read, whatever you have learned by yourself, I'm just trying to augment, trying to make it complementary, to make it more reinforcing, and that is what I do. Okay. Now, okay, right. What is a business plan? The business plan, it's a written narrative. Okay, what a written narrative means, it is a presented one. You may either use a MS Word document or use a PPT document or whatever it is, but then it is whatever you and your team have thought of, whatever ideas that you and your team has thought of, whatever business model that you and your team has thought of, whatever revenue models that you and your team has thought of, whatever marketing and other marketing and campaign plans that you have thought of, whatever operational plan that you've thought of, you're trying to concise it and put it into a narrative that could be read by in this case, the judges, in many cases, the stakeholders, the people who are related to that. Now, fundamentally, a business plan could be a 25 to 35 page document. There are business plans which goes into 100 and 200 pages, that I will come to that a little later. But in your case, in your business plan context, they have been very clear that you actually you limit yourself to about 25 to 30 pages as far as your business plan is concerned. And the business plan is all about, in your case, what a new business want to accomplish or achieve. What is that your business want to achieve? Is it a social concern? Is it a profitability concern? Is it an employment concern? Or is it all of it put together? Is it what? That is exactly what the business plan is trying to, the objective of the business plan is all about. There is twin purpose for this business plan. The one purpose is, okay, it could be, of course, used as an inside document. That is to the team who are indulging in the operational aspect of a company. Okay, if it is an existing company or if it is a new company that is in the formation, the team could understand the guidelines as per the business plan. So you, in that way, you will consider the business plan that you had made within the team as a mirror. The mirror is what reflects you. So when you put the mirror in front of you, it reflects you. Similarly, when you do your activity and then you look at your business plan and compare yourself, it reflects that, okay, how much you have achieved, which way you have gone, what are all the impediments that has come across, what are the challenges that you're facing, etc., etc. So that is inside. But predominantly, my dear friends, a business plan is made for the purpose of external purpose. It could be presenting it to the stakeholders. It could be presenting it to a set of employees. It could be presenting it to a project team. It could be presenting it to the government. It could be presenting for a grant, etc., etc., etc. So the twin purpose, one is the external purpose, the other is the internal purpose. The internal purpose is where the business plan will be used by the team as a mirror of the reflection. Okay. Now the second thing is, okay, who reads the business plan? If you make a business plan, who are all the people who will be going through that, or who will be listening to it, or who will be actually going through it? Okay. The first set I have mentioned in here, the audience is the investors, the people who invest in companies, either buying the stakes or equity, or debentures, or even giving loans, etc. So investors, lenders, people who give the loan. It could be institutional lenders, it could be individual lenders, it could be organizational lenders. Okay. And stakeholders. Stakeholders means the other people, not shareholders. The other people, it could be regulators, it could be granting authorities, it could be licensing authorities, it could be similar people. So for these people predominantly, and why they do need to go through it, a firm's business plan, a company's business plan definitely should take into account, okay, what good use of the investor's fund. So if an investor gives you 10 crores of rupees, you wouldn't want that to be wasted. The investor gives you some money, or a bank gives you some money, or a industrial development corporation gives you some money. They do not want that, okay, you go buy a car, you make a house, and you live comfortably. This is actually the investment goes into productive levels, either at manufacturing or services or creating solutions. That will have a commercial value. That commercial value will actually result in business. That business will actually result in revenue. That revenue will result in profitability. That profitability will result in return on the investment that the stakeholders and the investors want to have. So the first purpose of the business plan, my dear friends, is for the investors, for the lenders, and the stakeholders. And the second one I have already told you. It is, a business plan is used inside by the team to check from time to time whether they are in sync with the plan and how do they move forward. So it's an advisorial thing. It is a pre-made plan. It is an advisorial thing, and it's a direction-oriented thing, and therefore they could actually look at it from time to time and compare it and see that how it goes. Okay. Now, I would like to, before I proceed further, I would like to tell you some of the guidelines of how to make a business plan. Okay. Now, first is good. It is always good to follow a conventional business plan structure. Now, today, these days, you have so many possibilities of making very innovative business plan. In fact, some time back, I had actually been presented by a tree-oriented structure. It was an animated business plan. So he came in front of me. Initially, it was a tree structure. It was a tree structure, the leaves and the branches. So one branch leads to other branch, leads to other branch, leads to other branch, leads to other branch, leads. I liked it. But my challenge was, for the last 40 years, as a mentor, as a funder, as a funding assistance guy, etc., for the last 40 years, I am going by certain set patterns and structure. So I am so used to that pattern and structure, I need to go through it in a jiffy, all of a sudden, and I understand what is it and where it is actually, and what it is leading to. I get a very quick picture of it. But if you're making an innovative plan in a tree structure or an animated structure or just bullet structure, etc., the challenge for the people, particularly lenders and the stakeholders and the investors, is that they will take time to fathom it, to understand it, and therefore there will be an impediment as far as you're concerned. So I suggest to all of you that it will be good that you actually follow a conventional structure and a pattern. Okay. Now, as I have already said, creativity is good, but in the case of an investment business plan, it is better to stay in a conservative form. Okay, conservative format. Okay. And third thing, please understand, investors are very, very busy people. Okay, they don't have time. If you really, in fact, I will give you an example. There is a very famous investor called Kanwal Rekhi. He ran an IT company and he sold the IT company to Novel Netwear Incorporated. He had something close to 500 million US dollars some 25 years back. That was big money then. Okay. So he became an investor. He became a mentor. He became a venture capitalist. And there was this guy called V.B. Chandrasekharan, who did his engineering in Madras Institute of Technology, Crompet, and he worked in Wipro as a customer support engineer. And Wipro sent him to UK to to install computers in the UK bank as per the contract. From there, he reached California. He left Wipro and he reached California, and he shacked in with a friend. And he was actually going around trying to meet investors and mentors and venture capitalists and angels in order to receiving funds for his company. So what has happened is, in this case, Kanwal Rekhi was attending a sort of a social function. Somehow this guy, V.B. Chandrasekharan, his company eventually came to be called as Exodus Incorporated. The company made a lot of money, but in 10 years time, the company also wound up. That's a different story altogether. So he get crushed into the social function. All he had was a visiting card. So he actually he shoved the visiting card into the breast pocket of Mr. Kanwal Rekhi, saying that, sir, please go through it and call me. And that's what he did. Okay. So this person, V.B. Chandrasekharan, for the last 2 months had been trying to meet so many people he could not. So he made a very unconventional route of attending a social function and a very unconventional way of, his visiting card being shoved into Mr. Kanwal Rekhi. Kanwal Rekhi took pity on him when he reached home. While he was undressing, the visiting card fell out of his pocket. So he looked at it. He said, okay, this boy must have tried his luck. So let me call him. Rest is history. He funded him. This went on to become a big company, made a lot of market capital, and then flourished for some time. What I'm trying to say that, just say that, okay, see, you don't know who will fund you. You don't know where the fund will come in. You don't know how will you approach them. You don't know how they reach you. And they're very busy people. Investors are very busy people. You just cannot go and meet some venture capitalist. I'm coming, please be there. So busy people, and therefore they will want to see everything in a format that they understand. Therefore, it is better that your conventional business plan structure is followed. Don't go into very high level of innovative structure, which you will find it to be very difficult to explain. And the funding people, the approving people will find it difficult to fathom it, to understand. Okay. Now, there is also many automated tools available, that is software tools available to create business plan. Some of them are mentioned in your Life Plan, Atlassian, BizPlan Builder, etc., etc. There are so many. And there are 20, 30, 40. As you just Google, you will get the automated business plan tools. Good. You can put in your data there. Automatically, it will create the graphs and suggestions, everything. Even sometimes even the PPT, the pitch deck, they call it pitch deck. Please understand, it's a very important word for you. PITCHDECK. Deck means a deck of cards. Deck means 10, 15 PPT together is called deck. A pitch deck means pitching for funding or pitching for approval. So it's called a pitch deck. You can note it down for yourself so that when your investors or when your judges ask you where is your pitch deck, you should understand. So this pitch deck, so it gives an interactive. These are all menu-driven approaches, and they can write a business plan for you. But all the more, I will advise you. Though it is important that every one of us is getting automated, both organization-wise as well as physically, I would advise you that you involve yourself in the creation of this business plan. It is important that you involve yourself in the creation of this business plan. So that becomes an experiential learning for you. Okay, while you make this 25 pages, every page you must have been involved in creating it, maybe except for the pages where you may seek the advice of a chartered accountant or a management accountant to create your financial projections, etc. But otherwise, it is important that you involve yourself in the making of the business plan so that you get a lot of experiential learning while you do this, which is very, very critical. So the experiential learning will again stand in good stead while you present it to your judges. Okay, going forward. Okay, now the content of a business plan, it should be very clear and concise. Okay, I see a lot of girls in this, so I don't want to go to the next one. Suffice to say that the the business plan is something which actually exposes the essentials but covers the details. That is why I meant by the next line. I don't want to explain it further. Okay. And the types of business, I told you there are 100-page, 200-page business plan. There are. In fact, there is something called DPR, detailed project report, which actually follows the business plan. Sometimes a detailed project report and a business plan is combined together. So it depends upon where you want to present it, to whom you want to give it, etc. Your business plan vary. One is a summary business plan, brief for creating interest. That is exactly, okay, like it could be an executive summary, 2 to 3 to 4 pages, and they will have a business plan. One study of it, people will know everything, including the ana paisa, that means including the money and the financial. The second one is a full business plan, which will contain the financial details, full the blueprint. It is called the blueprint, the complete financial details, the cash flow, the trial balance or the balance sheet, the profit and loss account, and the assumptions. All that will be there. It will be something about 25 to 30 pages. The first one will be about 4 to 5 pages. And the third one can go into 100, 200 pages, where operations are also explained. Detailed, right? By particularly the operation may be very critical for people to understand. So it would go into the operational business plan, and that could be lengthier in nature. In your case, it is second one that is sought, which is about 25 to 30 pages of a business plan. That is what is sought by Trichur Management Association. Going forward, okay, what are all the business plan components? Now I'm coming to the crux. Please, boys and girls, my dear audience, I'm coming to the crux of the business plan. Francis George, in case if it is required, I can make this PPT available to you, so that people who want it, at least these 2-3 pages can be given, or even I don't mind giving it to them, so that they want to have more input on this. But provided they stay through with this presentation, we can make this PPT available. I don't claim any IP, or I don't want to put an intellectual property right on it. Okay, I would like people to learn and see as much as possible. Okay. So,
thank you. Good. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. So this is in terms of that. I'm just coming to the crux of it. What are all the content as far as the business plan is concerned? First, of course, is the table of content. So you say page 1, page 2. What are the content, and the pages are given. Second is the executive summary. I will explain this everything in detail a little later. Okay. Executive summary. Okay. Third will come to what are the products and services or the solutions that is being offered by. Okay. And the fourth will be the description of the company structure, the business team, etc. And the next one will be the analysis of the industry where you want to enter. Thereafter, you analyze the market that you want to enter. Third is next is the analysis of the competition that you want to fight with. And next is the marketing plans that you make to fight with. Then the operation plan, the production, the delivery, the technology inputs, etc. Thereafter, it goes to research, design, research and development, and quality control parameters of your business, of your product solutions and services. Okay. Then in the organizational plan, how many people, which, what, or with organizational structure, etc. to do this business. Of course, it also will tell you what are all the risks, what are all the scenarios, how do you mitigate the risk will be explained in this session. Okay. And then the financial plans. In the financial plans, you will say how you plan to finance it, where do you expect the fund to come, etc. And then it goes into project cost, the funding of it, the projected financials for at least about 3 to 5 years time, then the cash flow and the finance, of course. Thereafter, it says financially the viability, you may have to mention it, technological viability, because many of the businesses of today use very, very high level of technology, whether it is information and communication technology or otherwise engineering technology. That also will have to explain as required by Trichur Management. So this is an addition that I have brought in, because normally when you come to the cash flow, etc., thereafter you only come into the implementation. But in TMA's case, I had seen this class where they also wanted financial and technological viability being displayed, so I have added that into that. Otherwise, it has not been there as a original part of my presentation. And next is a project implementation plans and the workflows. Okay, and the appendix. Appendix will not be part of your 35 pages or 30 pages. Appendix will come to about 5 to 10 pages. It will be your assumptions, it will be a worksheets, or it will be a survey data. Okay, it will be primary, secondary survey data, and all those things actually will form the assumption. Why? Because if somebody is serious about it and see, oh, it's a lovely program, but I'm doubtful about the assumptions, he will go to the appendix and see what is the assumption that is given and how the assumptions have been made into numbers as far as your financial system. The appendix actually does not form part of the 30 pages, but that will come to about 5 to 10 pages. In case you want to put it, you can put it, but otherwise you keep it ready. When you do the pitch deck, when you do the presentation, you could probably use it, the appendix can be used. But normally, The business plan, whenever it comes, it also comes with an appendix, so that people who seriously go through the business plan will know that what exactly the assumptions are, how you have given the numbers, how are the projections made, etc., etc., and the worksheets are how the worksheets are done. Okay, so this is the content in concise form. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to the explanation thereof, and to see you to tell you as to how we can actually, how this can be, how you will be able to implement into a better business plan. Okay, the part one, of course, there will be a cover page that I did not mention the content. The first page of it, your company name will be there, your address will be there, phone number, the contact information, whom to contact, how to contact, and date of this presentation also will be mentioned in the first page. The part two will be the table of content, which I have told you. You will be say one, say introduction, executive summary, business plan, etc., etc., and the page number will be given on the right side. That is actually the table of content. Okay, that over, we really come to that over. 1 second, let me just pull this down here so that yeah, the executive summary. Now, very, very critical. This is a very, 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 very critical documentation, and it happens to be at the very first page of your business plan. I will explain this, and I'll come to it. Come to as to what is the insight of this in the end. Okay, the executive summary is a short overview of the whole business plan. Your 25 page will be concised into one A4 sheet, or in the worst case, 1.5 A4 sheet. Okay. Now, it provides everything that needs to be known about the venture's nature. All that you mentioned, okay, your market analysis, your competition analysis, your financial details, etc., in a very concise form will be mentioned in the A4 sheet, in the maybe 1.5 sheet. Okay, and it should be a one-page summary, and it must be written last after you make section 2 to section 19 of 20. Okay, then you go through that. You summarize that to the numbers and summarize that to very, very abridged words, and then make the executive summary. Now, why is executive summary very, 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 very critical is what I'm showing here. Okay. 1 second. Oh, your screen sharing. My presentation got stuck, so I may need to. I don't know why. Yeah. All right. Okay. So now I am coming to why your executive summary. What are the insights about it? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, investors are busy people. They probably may not be having time to sit down and go through the 35 pages and the appendices. Okay, and the details thereof. What they will do, they will just take the first page, the executive summary. They will go through it in utmost attention with mindfulness, and they will understand your business and the business, the profitability and the financial thereof, and they will immediately guess the viability of the business. And if they are interested, they will ask their financial people or their secretariat or themselves. They will go through it. So the executive summary is the most important section of a business plan, because a fund provider or a banker or an angel capitalist or a venture capitalist or a merchant banker or a HNI, high net worth individual, or a seed funder or an angel funder, he will go through the executive summary and he will see whether it is worth going forward. So if the executive summary is something like, the whole thing summarized, at the same time, it should be able to catch the attention of the stakeholder. So it is very, very critical. So what will you do? You will make section 2 to the end. You will make it in as much as the details as possible. Then you will go through each of the section 2 to the end and make a concise of that into an A-page written documentation, and you'll place it as page number 2 as after the table of content. And your people will go through that. This is going to happen. Suppose, let's say there is about 30, 40, 50, 60 business plan come to Trichur Management Association. Okay, the judges, what they will do, they will go through the first executive summary and they will do their first level of shortlisting based thereon. Okay, they may, if time permits, they may go through the rest, but I'm very sure people who are busy, they will go through the executive summary. So please understand, my dear students, you must have done wonderfully well from section 2 to section N. But if you failed to convert that into a single page of executive summary, and if that is not attractive enough, you lost the war, you lost the business, you lost the possibility of funding. So please be very, very careful. Spend your last time, but spend your most creative time at the end of your business plan to bring up or to make the presentation called executive summary. So that is where it lies. So please bear this in mind. So please understand, if there is a good takeaway from this meeting, if there is a good takeaway from this class, the takeaway is that how to prepare the executive summary in order to make it more compelling for your judge, in this case, your judge, to shortlist you and thereafter ask you to come a presentation. In the other cases of funding, how to make it most compelling for the funders so that they will get attracted by it and they will call you to come a presentation so that they can look at the possibilities of funding. Is that clear? I hope with that clear. I have taken enough of time to explain this to you, the importance of executive summary. I'm going forward. Now the section 2. Section 2 is the products and services offered. What is the product? So before that, we need to say what is the business opportunity that you're actually addressing. Okay, because you have a lot of technologies now, computers, internet of things, ICT, so many possibilities. Okay, and all these things, you suddenly some ideas that struck you, and based on the idea, you want to monetize, you want to convert the idea into a business. That is called monetizing. MONITIZING. This is also another word that, my dear boys and girls, that you must learn, because like pitch deck, this also is a jargon that people use very often. What is the possibility of monetizing your idea? So the opportunity monetizing is the first. So first of all, you need to identify the opportunity. The opportunity identification will actually form the business idea for you. Okay, you say that, okay, I understand that, okay, there is an opportunity in this business, or there is an business is happening like this, but I definitely see an opportunity here. Can that opportunity can be expanded into a business idea? Okay, now when you expand that business idea, okay, then the idea can manifest, can reflect, or can come out in the form of either a product or a service or a product service solution. Okay, now so that is actually what is going to be a product and service solution that happens. Now the next 3 slides that you see in here is that how opportunities are identified. Okay, just to give you an idea how the opportunities are identified. So when you people as a team brainstorm to arrive at the opportunity and the business idea, what you should do is, whether your business idea is solving a problem, it could be a business problem, it could be an industry problem, it could be a marketing problem, it could be an individual problem, it could be a family problem, or it could be any similar problem, whether that problem that can be solved by business or solved through the form of a business. Okay, that is what you should do. The problem, solve problem. The other thing is called the gap to be filled. There's a product that is available, there's a market that is available, but the product is not reaching the market because there is a gap. Okay, say for example, there is a famous solution called ERP, SAP ERP. Okay, it is a mother of all enterprise resource planning solution, but it is not being used by SME customers because they don't understand it. So the gap is identified. So you need to have the gap filled by an organization who can come and train the people on the solution. So that is a gap identification in this case. So what is the gap that is identified? So either a solution of a problem or a gap that is to be filled, or the last is, what is the trend that is happening in the market? What is the business trend? What is the fashion trend? What is the technology trend? What is the entrepreneurship trend? Say for example, today, if you really look at in India, there is a big trend, huge trend in 2 areas. One is called education technology, so which is called EdTech, EdTech. Okay, there's another called FinTech, financial technology. Okay, in fact, recently a company, his name is Anish Achudan. The company is called Open Banking. Okay, it's a neo banking solution. Company is called Open Financial Technologies. They have been funded to the tune of about 200-250 crore rupees for starting for running this business. Can you imagine? 250 crore rupees funded to run this business. So that is a fintech it is. So 2 areas that actually is very, very highly there in the country today is education technologies and financial technologies. The third area is actually medical technology, medtech, medical technologies that you see. Anyway, that is just for the sake of telling. Maybe that if that gives you an idea, my dear student, it could be good. So you must see what is the opportunity. Okay, is the opportunity becoming a business idea? Is the idea solving a problem? Or is the idea bridging a gap? or it is following a trend so that it can actually become a business proposition in the form of a product or a service or a product service solution. I hope I am clear on that. Okay, going forward, next is the company and the team. So the company, is it a private limited company? Is it a LLP company? It's a partnership company, or it is a proprietary company, or is it a Section 8 company? Section 8 companies, it's a corporate company, but it does not actually create, it does not deliver profit, or the profits are actually plowed back into the company. Profits are not taken over by the stakeholders. Section 8 company. Okay, what is the structure of a company, which I have mentioned in that? What is the current status? Is it in the paper? You have not actually come to a business so far, but it is being just used as a proprietary one. So who are all the owners? Who are all the founders of the business? That will be listed there. And while you do that, you will also say who is the CX. X is a variable here. X, it could be a CEO or a CMO or a CFO or a CIO or a CTO or CHRO, etc., etc. So who are all the top end team, and who are all the key personnel there in the business, and the competencies of the personnel, what is their qualification and what is their expertise, is what actually the company and the team. Okay, the structure of the company, the people of the company, the team, and their competencies, what you will make in this page. That is the company and team. The next session, the section 4, the section 4 is target market. That is, where do you want to try this? Which market are you going to? This product or the solution or the idea that you're going to convert into a product or a solution or a service. Okay, is it bridging a gap, or is it solving a problem, or is it following a trend? Okay, and in which market you will try to apply this idea. So the overall target market you will arrive at. Okay, and please mute. I see some distraction. Please mute. Okay. Secondly, the firm's target market is limited. That is the target market of that is in this industry, which market that we will address to. Okay, and it is very, very important that the target market attractiveness is very, very critical. So when your judges are going through your target market description, they will also try to find out if this target market is an attractive proposition, or is it a fragmented market, or is it a market that doesn't exist, or is it a market that doesn't have profitability, or is it a market that doesn't grow, or is it a market that is saturated? In those markets, if you're actually creating a product or a solution, it is bound to fail. So it is important for you to actually put it in this page, section 4, your target market. What is the attractiveness of the target market is the key here. So please bear that in mind. Next is section 5, industry analysis. Okay, my dear boys and girls, the industry analysis that we come to, okay, that is, when we call it as an industry segment and vertical is actually within that. For example, I will call it a chemical industry. Okay, so the industry's name is chemical industry, under which there is a segment called pharma. There are other segments. Okay, there may be segments of rayon, there may be petrochemicals. All this is part of the chemical industry itself. So that is called the segment. And under the pharma, there is a vaccine segment that is called vertical. So in industry contain segments and verticals. Okay, so in this case, I have given an example of a chemical industry, pharma becoming a segment and the vaccine becoming a vertical. Similarly, I'm giving a banking and financial services. The town of Trichur is very famous for the number of banks that it is headquartered. Catholic Syrian Bank, South Indian Bank, Dhanlakshmi Bank, earlier Lord Krishna Bank, and there are many other private banks, etc., in the town of Trichur or in the city of and the district of Trichur. Very famous. So we call Trichur as a banking district, or a city as a banking town. BFSI, banking, financial services, and insurance is a main industry, under which banking is a segment, and under banking, NBFC. Trichur also is famous for NBFC, one of the India's top NBFC called Manappuram actually comes from Valapad, which is in Trichur. Okay, anyway, so to understand which industry, under which segment, under which vertical, and which market that you will play. And the item to be included in the size of the industry, you have to do thorough study. And basically all this data is available. All this data is available in Google. You can go and search. A lot of credible data is available. Secondary and primary data is available in Google. So you find out what is the size of the industry. Is it a 10 crore industry, 100 crore industry, 1000 crore industry, 1 billion industry, 1 trillion industry? The industry is growing at 10%, 5%, 2%. What are the sales projections that the industry is showing? Okay, etc. What is the structure of the industry? Okay, is it a multinational farm industry, or is it a niche industry like that? Okay, what is the nature of the participant? Who are they big players? Are they small players or family businesses? The nature, okay, of the participants. what is the key success factors in the industry? How does this industry, how does it succeed? Okay, what are the critical success factors? Interest for a banking segment, loan being low means success factor is high. Okay, or the smaller loans being given, more customers will come in. So what are all the success factors there? What is the trend in the industry? Is the industry having a multitude of up and downs, or is it growing northward? It is growing upwards, etc. And what are the long-term prospects in the industry that has to grow? So your idea, which you had already converted into a product or a service or a solution, okay, and you already said about the target market you had said, and you say which industry that you like to play, and under the industry, which segment that you like to play, and under the vertical, under the segment, which vertical that you like to play. And in that case, you should give that industry size of the vertical, growth of the vertical, growth of the structure of the vertical, nature of the vertical, etc. And that is what you see in this analysis. I just, you are all, most of you are management students. So Michael Porter is not new to you. He is called the father of strategy. Okay, he has been a professor in Harvard Business School. He is still there, and he says, an industry, the parameter that impact an industry is the bargaining power of the suppliers. That is, suppliers there, bargaining power of the customers, the threat of the new entrant, the threat of the substitute product, and the competitive rivalry within the industry. These are all called the 5 force analysis as far as Michael Porter is concerned. So if you look at the purple one, the threat of the new entrant, you may be the new entrant that is come in, and you will know these are all the nature of the industry that already is there. So, and how do you compete and how do you enter and how do you compete? I just put this slide here just for you to understand. In case you want more details, you can talk to a business management, strategic management professor who could actually give you more input on that. Okay. Next session is, I am going at a little speed because I want to complete this before by about 12:05, so that we will have some time to discuss with yourself. And I'm sure if you have any doubt, you're writing it down and sending it to the TMA people, or sending it to the WhatsApp group, or sending it to the chat mode in here, please. Okay. As far as chat is concerned, I only had seen one chat here, none anything new. Okay. Next is market analysis, analyzing the market. As I already told you, in this case, you will try to break the market into industry and segment, and then you'll say segmentation. How will you do it? What is the buyer behavior of the segment? A market is segmented based on the buyer behavior. Okay, banking segment means people come to bank with the buyer behavior. They will come to deposit. They will come to take loan. So that is the buyer behavior. Okay. Now, what are the competitive inputs there are? Which in the competition, how people are making entry, how people are performing growth, how people are actually flourishing, and that is what as a market analysis that you would like to put, and that is what in this slide which is shown. Going forward, competition analysis, very critical, because if you want to enter a highly competitive industry with a product that already exists, you will die. And that is why I said, when your judges are going to evaluate you, they will evaluate you by the idea also. There is a weightage given for the idea. And the idea, they are trying to look at whether the idea is original, whether the idea is implementable. Okay. What is the broader objective of this idea, they will see. Okay. So if you say that I am going to get into an industry which is extremely competitive, judges will not be pleased, or people who want to fund will not be interested. So competition analysis, therefore, is very critical. In this section, there are steps that is identifying the competitors, assessing the competitors, their capabilities, and selecting competitors to attract or whom to avoid. Some competition we will avoid, some competition we will attack because we had seen some weakness in them. Okay. And how do you do that? Determining the competitors' objectives. Okay, there are all details are available in the internet pages and the websites and the industry segments and the industry association details. Identifying corporates, the strategies of the competition as to how do they win, and the weakness and strength and weakness of the competition, and estimating competition reaction in case you want to come. And that is what is the competition analysis that you will put it. So please brainstorm, please study the competition with respect to these parameters on the right side, and the process step is on the left side, identifying the competition, assessing them, and selecting competitors whom to avoid and whom to take on. Okay. Going forward, section 8 is marketing plan. Here you make a marketing plan, focus how the business will market the products, market and sell its products and services. Okay. And what are things that you will include here? What is your overall marketing strategy? Marketing strategy is all about how you're able to make the revenue. So how the customer facing function. And the marketing is all about creating leads. Marketing is all about creating business. Marketing is all about creating inquiries. Marketing is all about converting the inquiries and the leads in the business. Okay, so the converting the leads into business is called sales. Okay, so sales is a parameter of the marketing. Marketing is a global listing, and whenever we say marketing here, we say how do we create inquiries, how do we create leads, how do we create customer interest in the products and services that we actually create. In this case, what is the overall marketing strategy? How do you want to reach out? Whether you want to advertise, whether you want to go hoarding ways, whether you want to below the line advertising, whether you want to digitally advertise, or whether you want to word of mouth advertising, what is the strategy that you'll adopt? Okay, and then most of you business management students will know the 4P strategy. That is called the product, price, promotion, and place. And place is nothing but the distribution. So the 4P strategy that you will apply here, you will want to bank upon, you will want to concentrate on which P, product P, or maybe qualitatively high, price P, maybe you will want to reduce the price, promotion, maybe you will want to go digital way, or distribution that you will want to go directly to the customer. So whichever way you want to do it, you can do it. Okay, and that is what you want to look at it. And what is the sales process and sales cycle? How do you sell? Whether you sell through intermediary, whether you sell through distribution and dealers, whether you directly sell to the customer, B2C, is it B2B, is it B2B2C, is it B2C to B, whichever way that you would like to, you put it. And what are your sales tactic? Tactic means it is short term. How do you actually convert your numbers into business or inquiries into business is what you will actually explain in here. Going forward, your operation plan and strategy is section number 9. Okay, in here you will say how you product it, how you deliver it, how do you actually solutionize it, how do you make it as a service, and how do you deliver it. Okay, this will have some backstage that is unseen to the customer. We call it back end, and the front end, or the front end at the front stage seen by the customer. Okay, so what is your approach to the operations? Okay, which technologies that you want to apply in the business operation? Where is your business location? Why you say, for example, if you are making hosiery products, banyans and inners, etc. Many people even today go to Tirupur because the town is actually called the hosiery town. But if you want to do foundry products, you will go to Coimbatore. But if you want to have bangles, you will go to Kurja. If you want to have sarees, you will go to Pochampalli and Kanjivaram and Benares. So each of the town business location has its own nuances and where you want to go. What are all the plant and machinery and facilities and equipment that you will have, and what is your operational plan of manufacturing? You want a 24/7, you want a batch manufacturing, you want a custom-made manufacturing, or if it's a service, how do you want to deliver service? Is it a cloud service? Is it delivered from directly directly delivered to the client, or is it delivered online? All those things you will explain it here. That is what is your operational plan and technology. Going forward to item number 10, this is about design. This is about R&D, quality control, and innovation. This is a very important slide. You may think that it may not be so. It is a very important. In this, there is a particular word that I had mentioned called design thinking. Design thinking. See, earlier when people used to design a product, they used to only worry about the technology and they used to worry about technical features of the design. Okay, and they will design a product. And only after designing a product that they will think that, okay, which market that you can give, which client that you can have. Design thinking is all about, design thinking is all about how the stakeholders means customers, stakeholders means employees, stakeholders means regulators, stakeholders means society, stakeholders means competition, all of them put together. How the stakeholders will be able to effectively use this design as a product or a service or a solution. And that thinking is called design thinking, which is very highly prevalent now. So design thinking is a strategy that you can apply here. You can look at your development status, how you're developing it, you're writing it internally, or is it outsourced service, if it is a software, or if it is a IoT product which is manufactured in China, if it is a hardware, etc., can be looked at it. And you will say, what are all the challenges and risks? Because in IT industry, people come and people go. That is a big challenge. HR challenge is always very high. So you are given the work to somebody to develop it. Company put it for you, company has locked down, so you may have a problem. Okay, the challenges and risks has to be there. Then what are all the development costs? What is the cost of development that you will cite it here? What is the intellectual property and proprietary right that you have on the product and solution? Is it patentable? Can I go for a trademark of this? Is it copyright protectable, etc.? Okay. What is the innovation that you apply on the product? Existing product is like that. If I apply innovation, I can actually bring a disruptive element in here. And what are all the global or Indian or national or local quality standards that you will apply here? Is it ISO that is applied? Is it QC that is applied? Is it CE standards of Europe that you apply? That is something that you will mention in here. So your research and development, your design objectives, your innovation elements, and your quality controls, etc., will be mentioned in this as Trichure Management Association wants it actually. Okay. Now, next is the organizational plan or organizational structure. That is all about management team. So, who are all there? Who is the promoter? Among the promoter, who is the CEO, who is the CFO, who is the CTO, etc. Who are all the key functional professionals in that? And you will say, if it is a listed company, limited company, or a private limited company, or a LLP company, who are all there in the board of the company? Who will you be bringing in as a board of advisors into the company? And if possible, you will also create an organogram. An organogram, you must have understood, MD, chairman on the top, the MD, then your director, this thing, VP, EP, GM, and head of the departments, etc. If you can create an organogram, good. If you don't have an organogram, you can mention as who are all the management team and key persons and who are all the promoters, etc. And that comes in the organizational structure. Section 12 is all about the risk management. Very, very critical, my dear friends. Risk management. See, your product is good, your service is good, you had explained it so very well, you had applied excellent technology, you had cutting edge, you have disruptive innovation, you have brought in, everything is fine. Everything is fine. But here is what is the risk in this business? People who are funding, people who are giving you loan, or key people who want to join you, etc., will like to know, if you are coming with a new company, what are all the risks involved in this section? Okay, so the risk is what is very, very critical. So your judges and jury also will be very keen to understand whether you have cited the risk in that, and what is the way you mitigate or you remove the risk in that. So that is something that you have to understand. So here, whether the financial projection made by you is right or wrong, that is the assumptions that you made, the industry growth that you will make, the market that you will capture, the growth that you will make, the profitability that you will make. Okay, whether the projections are right or is it flawed? Or are you said, I'm going to get a patent, and suddenly you realize that you are not getting the patent. Will you be able to flourish? Will you be able to work up? Or your assumptions about the consumer preferences. You thought that it's a wonderful product, everybody will buy, nobody bought it. So in that case, what happens? Next is the speed and processes used to manufacture. Whether it is the right way of manufacturing, or is it creating a product full of holes? And which are all the HR issues, particularly technology companies, IT companies, software companies, IoT companies, drone companies, robotics companies, etc. A lot of people come, a lot of people go. You have to understand that. So if you started with something and you thought you will make it, and please understand, my dear boys and girls, if software development, etc., a particular team is interested with the development, if the team goes away, it cannot be continued. It has to be started all over again. And that's the way, because the product is the mind. Okay. And this is the process. This is the raw material in that case. So somebody's design may not have been understood by somebody else, or somebody else want to do a completely different design altogether. So if an IT company is given the work to be done and the IT company is closed up, you have to start all over again. So these are all the HR issues. These are all the external issues. Like, so for example, Corona is an external issue. Flood is an external issue. Earthquake is an external issue. Tornado is an external issue. So all this also have to be there. And which way? Competitive response to, we thought the competition will respond by undercoating, but the competition did not do so. And by virtue of that, you lost the market. So all these are very important. So you have to, you seriously, truthfully, you have to analyze that, understand that, and put it in your slide and say, how do you mitigate that? If that is the case, so that is called scenario planning and backup plans. If this fails, what do you do? If you don't get patent, what do you do? If there is an assumption does not succeed, what will you do? If the product is not working in this way, will you be able to pivot it into another form, etc., etc. Okay, so this is something that you have to brainstorm. Say that if there is a flaw, if there is a failure, how do you mitigate the failure? How do you mitigate the flaw, and how do you go about is what in this slide that will come risk management. Okay. Next is the financial plans, my dear friends. Okay. Financial plans is all about your financial requirement need to be assessed. You may not have enough money. You only have a wonderful idea. You may have a wonderful team, or you may have a wonderful design team. All that is there. You have a big brain, but then you may not have the money. I call money as vitamin M, vitamin money. And therefore, you are not able to proceed forward. One of the most important ingredients of any business is money, is finance. And if the finance is not there, businesses will not take off. You have to understand that. Therefore, assessing the financial requirements, okay, of the startup, assessing the financial requirement of the startup is something that you have to understand. How do you start up? Maybe you start up with very frugal funds. It is called bootstrapping. Ningal friends ellam koodi, you put some money and you start it. Or you would have got some seed funding from KSIDC, or some seed funding from Kerala Startup Mission, or some seed funding from your respective industrial development corporation, or some seed funding from a private company, or a seed funding from an individual, etc. And then there are angel capitalists, who can give you 2-3 crores of rupees in between. And there are venture capital who can give you larger money. And there are PE funds who can give millions of dollars as funds. Or there are banks and financial institutions who can give you the loan. So identifying the source of the fund has to come in here. In your business, what is the credit term that you will set in your business? That is, are you going to sell credit? Will you be able to recover the money in 90 days time? So what is your business cycle, your business rolling cycle? That has to be explained here. Your growth assumptions has to be convincingly, rationally put it in here. And your performance, your revenue, and your profitability and valuations has to be done. And this is an area where you need a expertise. You need people like chartered accountants or financial management accountants who are, or people who are financially sound, who can understand, envisage, and they can put it into some structure and then give it to you. So this is where you have to really work with you have to work with experts and arrive. But please understand, my dear friends, this is a very, very key important area. For example, cost of the project. What is the fixed cost? Fixed cost is, what is your fixed asset cost? Okay. What is the variable cost? That is the money, working capital, etc., comes under the variable cost. Okay. What is the cost of starting up this establishment? Or what is the interest that you'll accrue in case you're actually taking up huge loans? Okay. Which are all the ways that you understand revenue drivers, right? Revenue drivers means the USP or the product feature or the market acceptability or the market growth or the campaign, that's the success of the campaign that actually drives the market. Okay. The usability, repeated usability happens, and that driver, and therefore what is the profit and what is the profit margins. And therefore, if you go to industry, say for example, if you go to IT, software development, the margins are about 100%. But if you come to housing, the margins may be 50%. But if you come to manufacturing, the margin may be 10%. Gross margins I'm referring to. So you have to understand the margins of the industry. You have to understand the industry margin drivers. That has to be put, and you have to understand how do you break even. Break even means you come to a stage where you're able to run with the money that you make. You're able to run your business without losses with the money. That is break even. No loss, no profit. Okay. Going forward, the financial projection. Very, very critical here, my dear friends. Very, very critical here. The financial projection. Okay. Minimum you have to project 3 to 5 years time. Minimum 3 years, maximum, in this case, maximum 5 years. Your assumptions of growth has to be put. Your acceptance of market share has to be put. Your market acceptability values has to be put. Your pricing assumptions has to be put. How do you compete? How do you price your product with respect to your competition? Your competition is 100 rupees. What is your price? So all these assumptions are very, very critical here. So in your financial projection, assumptions become very, very key. And as I've told you in the last slide, where is the source of the fund? Where does it come from? And how do you apply this fund? You have to make your statement thereof. Then you will make your income and revenue, P&L, for profit and loss statement. You will make your balance sheet. That is where the source of funds and application of fund will be listed. And you will also make cash flow. Cash flow doesn't mean that the money that comes from the business. Cash flow also means that the equity money that will come into the business, the loan that will come into the business, or any other grant, etc., that will come into the business, etc., will also be counted. So cash flow is different from profitability. Okay. Sometimes you may say that you made a profit, but the profit has not come to you because the money is still to be paid by the customer. Whereas cash flow is something where time to time, what is the cash that you will get? What is the cash that you need, and how will it come? And that is what is the cash flow statement. And in this, particularly for loan and particularly for equity, etc., there are some ratios, quick ratios, current asset ratios. There are many ratios that is there. People who are doing business management and people who are commerce management students, they will know the ratios actually. PE ratio, current asset ratio, asset ratios, quick ratios. There are many ratios. Okay, asset to liability ratio. So many ratios are there that also need to be put in here in the financial projection. And I'm coming to the last stages of my presentation. I also see that many of you, we started with about 270 students. So 270, it has come to 100 already dropped off. So we are slowly, maybe it is becoming a little dry for you, I understand. but these sort of subjects are sometimes dry. This is more subject matter oriented, and this is technical in nature. Therefore, you will forgive me for not able to make it as interesting as probably a speech or a keynote address could be. Okay, I'm coming to the financial feasibility analysis. Okay, where you have to, this is a slide that I have incorporated based on Trichure Management Association's request. Okay, they said they would also like you to make what is the feasibility, financial feasibility. Will it make loss? How long loss? When will it turn profit? When it will break even? What are the return on investment? All those things need to be put in. Okay, so business, how does a business pass the financial feasibility analysis has to be brought in here. But I understand after you make the financial projections, normally when you take 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, etc., maybe in year 1 you will be making losses, maybe in year 2 you will be breaking even, maybe in year 3 you'll have a minimum profit, maybe in year 4 you'll have good profit, maybe in year 5 you'll have huge profits. That's the way most of the industries work. Okay, in fact some of the industries take about 10 years to actually turn profitable, and some of the industries actually can become profitable on the third month itself. So these are very critical, profitability. Okay, and based on the profitability, there's a valuation. What is it? That is what the market valuation of the company. Based on the valuation, people come to put in their equity stakes in the company. So that is either in the form of share capital, if it is a listed company, otherwise it is a closed-end company, they will work it within the company to put in the shares. Okay, so this financial feasibility is very, very critical. Okay, a preliminary financial assessment is very, very critical, because, and that is what TMA says, that they would like you to mention here what are all the financial feasibilities. Okay, the financial feasibility is all about when will you make profit, or when will you break even, when will you profit, and when will you make decent and good profits. And that viability has to be seen. It says if the bank doesn't give you the fund, what will happen? You may have to close down. No, you may have to have alternate funds. So that is a financial viability analysis or feasibility analysis. Or the product is not selling, no revenue coming, financial feasibility is going to be a problem. So all these are interrelated. Okay, at the same time, since it is a business plan contest, you may not be spending too much of your time on creating this, but being a business plan contest, probably I may think that, okay, you may put the financial feasibility in terms of the startup cash required and the money required for the next level. Okay, and what is the financial performance, and that will be taken out of your projection, first year projection, second year projection, third year projection, fourth year projection, and you say that is it financially attractive for the proposed venture. See, when you go for funds, either from the bank or from the equity people, that is venture capitalist or angel capitalist, nobody want to put in money on loss-making companies. They want to put in money only on scalable, very, very scalable companies. Suddenly 100 crore will become 1,000 crores in 5 years. They will put money there. They put in 5 rupees or 10 rupees. If they put in 10 rupees, in the second year, they will want the value of the 10 rupees to be 25 rupees. In the third year, they want the value of the 10 rupees to be 50 rupees. So they think that, okay, in 5 years' time, I had put 10 rupees, I get 50 rupees back. And that is what equity people, private equity people, or venture capitalists or angels do. So they are risking. By giving you money, they are risking because they really do not know whether you will be successful. So they want to understand the financial feasibility of your project. Okay, so what is the revenue possibilities? Are you conservative in analyzing your revenue? Are you conservative in understanding assessing your profitability? At the same time, are you really going a little extra in saying that this competition impact will happen, and those inputs will be put in here, but you may not be going too deeper into that. Just look at your financial projection, find out when you break even. Okay, when you break even, when you make profit, when does the ROI happen, and what is the possibility of higher level of profitability, and that has to be listed here and say financially is it viable. The next one in the financial viability, I also want to put in this one. Okay, will the business make money in 5 to 7 years of time is one question. The second question is in financial viability, very, very important. I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, is here, if a firm makes a client, how much of repeatable business that this customer will be able to make out of this company. I'm a company, I have a customer. So I sold him something. He liked it. He went on buy. So I sold him a car. I'm an automobile company. He went on buying another car, another car, another car, and more number of cars. So that means he's a repeat customer. A repeat customer, once you make a customer, he become a customer for life. And in management terms, it is called customer lifetime value. Lifetime value, LTV, lifetime value of a customer, which is very, very critical. So in financial feasibility, you also have to show the feasibility of the repeat customer in this case. Very, very critical. Okay. And the next is ability of forecasting the income and expenses with a reasonable degree of certainty. I had seen, I do work with a lot of startups. I must be personally connected about more than 200, 250, 300 startups. Okay. And wherever I see, they come with a very, very highly projected or extraordinary built up financials, telling that I will make 300 crore profit, I will make 1,000 crore in 5 years, etc. When you study and you compare with the industry statistics, you know that this is not going to happen unless and until the product is something great in nature or something that customer definitely want to have a product. So don't exaggerate. Okay, your industry analysis, your income and expense, and whatever you put it into your financial must have a reasonable degree of certainty, reasonable degree of success. Very, very critical. Okay. And how do you run your business with the internally generated funds rather than looking at funds from outside? Looking for funds, if you actually go to a bank to take a loan, that is for twin purpose. Maybe you are actually trying to build in a new technology and new plant and machinery, or your business cycle is 90 days, 100 days, so that the money doesn't come back fast. So you take a bank loan to mitigate that. And then the money comes back, you actually pay the money back to the bank. The loan, you pay it back. So these inputs are very, very critical to be understood as a financial viability proposition, which you have to actually mention in your presentation. Going forward, technical feasibility, my dear friends. Technical feasibility is all about, okay, what are all the current, when I say technical feasibility, I am not saying technological feasibility. Today, many businesses in the country, particularly 95% of the startup businesses in Kerala and many parts of India and many parts of the world are based on internet, IoT, and software and IT. ICT, it is called information and communication technology. That is a way. Either this becomes a business propagator or a business enabler, and in many cases, technology itself will become business. So, for example, 5G is a technology. 5G is a technology that by itself is a business. IoT is a technology that by itself is a business. Whereas ERP is a technology. Enterprise Resource Planning is a technology that is a business enabler for companies. You use that. CRM solution is a tool, software tool that become a business enabler. So there are business enabling technologies as well as technology as businesses. Okay, so that is technological aspect. Here what I am saying is, what is a technical feasibility? You may be applying engineering, you may be applying chemical technology, you may be applying many of these, and what are all the technologies that you are currently going to use? What are all the innovative disruption? The innovative disruption means you develop a innovation using which you disrupt the existing line of business and start a new possibility of business, disrupting the existing one. Okay, whether some disruptions in technology that you are planning to adopt, what are all the competing technologies that you want to use? In fact, earlier, about 10 years back, when GSM technologies versus CMA technologies, the Qualcomm was a company which was a completely different mobile technology versus GSM, which was a completely different mobile technology. So competing technologies to be used, whether you want to use a successful technology or you want to risk by using a technology which may succeed tomorrow. And how do you want to sustain technology for a long term? Today, many businesses apply technology, ERP, CRM, supply chain management, billing technologies, barcode, RFID. All these are technologies that businesses use to accelerate their businesses, to get the businesses higher. And what is the labor that you use, and what are all the standardization that you will follow in technology. So these are all the technological feasibility which Trachur Management Association wants you to put it in your proposition, your business proposition. That is a technological feasibility. The last one here is a project implementation schedule. I am on the very, very last stages of my how to make a business plan. And here, initial funding. When will you get the initial fund? Whether your prototype means if it's a product, it will become a prototype. If it is a service, it is called proof of concept. Okay. Prototype and proof of concept are more or less the same. Proof of concept is a word that we use when it comes to when it comes to services. Prototype is when it comes to product. So when will you come out with the prototype? When do you require the additional funding for marketing, etc.? What are your manufacturing and manufacturing process or your development and delivery process if it is a service? And when do you start your marketing campaign? And what is the cost required? When will you launch it? What is the initial sales? When will you achieve your initial sales? What is the time frame for you to break even? Okay. What is the action that you will put? What is the campaign action that you will put to turn to higher profit? And then expansion plans, operational and expansion plans. That is R&D, increasing the production capabilities, your expansion plans, your market expansion, geographical expansion. You may do it in Kerala alone. You may go to South India. You may go to complete India. You may go to Asia. You may get all over the world. Okay, that is an expansion, territorial expansion. You may have one product. You may create 2, 3, 4, 5 products. That is another expansion. You may do research and development to come out with the newer versions of the products. That will become another possibility. Okay, you may increase the production with respect to the market requirement, that capability. All this thing you will list it, and this is the project implementation schedule. You call it as a roadmap. You call it as a roadmap to your business success, and that is what your section 18 of your business is all about. Okay, so this is necessarily a business plan. So if I go back, and sorry, oh, I lost it. I have to come to the share screen again. Share again. Wait a second. I just want to go to the. Okay. Sorry for the. Right. What I want to show you here is this. This is what we wanted to actually study. The table of contents, the executive summary, the products and services offered, the description of the company and the business, industry analysis, okay, market analysis, competition analysis, marketing plans, operational plans and technology applied, research and development and quality control and disruptive innovations, organizational plans, risk management, financial plans, project cost and funding, projected financials, your cash flow statements, and viability propositions, both financial and technological, and the project implementation plan. This is what I have done in the last probably an hour and 5 minutes. Okay. Now let me go to the very last two slides as to how do we present it. That is because once you do this, this is where we were when I went back. Once you do this, you are also required to do the presentation. Okay. Now, supporting detailed document. I'm sorry. This is appendix. I have told you about the appendix that will form the part of the business plan. The business plan, the worksheet, the picture of the prototype, the management team resumes, your patent certification, legal documentation, survey documentations, the assumptions that you made, your financial statement, okay, your supporting documents, all that will become appendix. Sometimes it will 10 pages, 20 pages. That will become part of your business plan, but you don't need to give it in this case. If they ask for it, you should be able to produce it. And appendix is very important because when people, particularly when it comes to funding, people will say, please give me a worksheet. I would like to go through your worksheet. So that is when these appendix will come into use. So these appendices are very, very critical. You can either put it as a part of your presentation, but it doesn't become part of your presentation per se. That 25-30 pages will remain the same. This is appendix. It would be good if you put it, because if you put your appendix as a part of the presentation, the evaluation people, the judges will know that you have really worked hard to create it. It is not somebody else made for you. So that is very critical. A lot of genuinity and credibility will be formed in the eyes of the judges. So it is very critical. Okay. Now, how do you do the presentation? That is where I come to now. How do you do the presentation? Mostly presentations are done orally with the help of a computer or with the help of technologies that you will present either online or offline. Okay. The first rule in making an oral presentation is to follow directions. Hello, Lakshmi, will you please mute Lakshmi? Yeah. Okay. The first rule in making an organization is to follow directions. So Trichure Management Association in their brochure has given a very clear-cut direction. And after you're shortlisted, they will give you more directions as to what is to be presented. Okay. If you are told that you are given 15 minutes, please limit your presentation in 15 minutes. Okay. If you're told that you come with 10 slides, you come with 10 slides. If you're told that you come with 2 people, you come with 2 people. Okay. So if you don't follow this, you will get negative marks and you will lose out in spite of the fact that your presentation is the best or your proposition is the best. So don't do this. Oral presentation. I'm coming to after the shortlisting. I'm just presenting it because I wanted to put that empathy into showing you how to do it. The presentation must be smooth and well rehearsed. You must rehearse your presentation well in advance. If 3 people presenting it, how do you align together? How do you switch off and hand over? How do you take over from the other? How do you hand over to the next guy, etc. seamlessly without creating any noise, without creating any issues, without creating technological issues, even if you're doing even if you're doing virtually, how to be done it. So unless and until you practice it, you will not be able to do it. And please keep a stopwatch to see if it has to be seen in 20 minutes, it's completed in 20 minutes, it should be completed in 19 minutes and 30 seconds. That is when they will give you the mark. If you're only 50% answer, say I want 5 more minutes, you have lost out. So presentation should be smooth and the presentation dynamics should be good. Okay. Smart entrepreneur or smart student or a very smart student here will anticipate the questions, because when you make the answers, you will know what is the question. Okay. So you'll know these are the areas that they'll ask you, how come this assumption? Why did you say that your market growth is about 10%? He said, sir, we have gone to the industry directory. And as per them, the market is actually growing by 12%, but we have only taken 10% conservatively. He will applaud you. Okay. So the smart student among you who is doing the presentation will also have the ability to anticipate the questions. Okay. And he will make his presentation in such a way that he will be prepared for the queries. Very, very critical. Now, when somebody is asking questions, please don't dump it. Let him finish the question and he will say, I would like you to answer, or B to answer, or C to answer. Accordingly, you should answer. Sometimes what happened in presentation, in teams I had seen, the other 2 are simply there. They will wear some good clothes and good tie, shy, etc. Stand by. So when the judge will ask a question to the main guy, he will answer. Then the judge will say, okay, you keep quiet. I'm asking to this girl who had come with you. Now, Miss So-and-so, how does it? And you don't know how to answer. Then they will know that actually this is a one-man show, not a teamwork. Because you please understand, in presentation, they are given something close to 15% weightage. So if you will lose a complete weightage, if the entire team is prepared to do question and answer, the entire team is prepared to do the presentation in a seamless manner. Very, very critical. Please go by the guidelines, go by the directions, and don't mess it up. Okay. Now, this is what I would like to say about we have taken about 54 minutes plus about 20. So it's about an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes I have taken to do the presentation. I would now, Mr. Jose, I would like to take questions in case you have any questions, or how do you want to go about it? Please suggest. So I have now come to the questions and interaction time. This is a question and interaction time, Mr. Jose. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your patience. I also understand that close to about 100 people are left in the process of it. I really understand, because online, etc., you can't sit for more than about 20, 25, 30 minutes. And this being a 2-hour session, it is only anticipated that some of you will go away. But I hope it made sense to some of you people in terms of how to make presentations and how to win a business plan contest. Please understand, this business plan contest, if you win, it will stand in very good state. The certificate will give you a lot of weightage when you go for employment, and that too better employment, bigger companies, including MNCs. So that is what it is. Thank you very much. I hand over to Mr. Jose to do to lead the question and answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much. A wonderfully done, workshop on as to how to make a business plan contest, preparation. I have only one question here, but I would request all the participants, you can shoot your questions, unmuting yourself. Before that, let me ask you, sir, what is given to me by Jidin from the Naipunya Institute.
Okay.
What he has written, it seems that the summarizing a detailed project report into a business plan is a very tricky business.
Yes.
what are the main areas to be focused? For example, it would be virtually impossible to make a sensible financial projection many a time, as we may not have access to the investment required. Please give your comments, sir. Mr. Nitin from Naipunya.
Nitin, good question. 2-3 things I would like to say. Please understand, in the history of business projections, no business projection ever succeed, no business projection ever stood by the financial that it has created. In the history of business projection, and I know, in fact, Tricur Management Association has so many stalwarts who are, in fact, most of you, I don't know whether you know, if I take the total number of Tricur businessmen on one side of the balance and put the rest of 13 districts businessmen on the other side of the balance, it will still not go up. That is the level at which Tricur businessmen's capabilities. And if you take whether it is a Yusuf Ali or whether it is a Kalyan or whether it is anyone, okay, for that matter, and most of you know. So, see, the case here is that with such businessmen who are in this, some of whom who are in this panel, you will have to understand that I make a business projection, I make a business plan, and I submit it. But in 100% of the cases, the business projections and the actuals do vary. It may be 10%, 5%, or it may be 100% variation. So that means you will give a business projection based on certain assumptions that you make, which is convincing in nature, which is rational in your thinking. If you are saying that I'm going to create 100% market share, that means it is irrational. It is unconvincing. It is not convincing. So you have to make a convincing assumption. Your projection that you make, for which you make the assumption, has to be rational, has to be objective in nature, and that is what it is. Even if it doesn't succeed, it doesn't matter. At the time of your business projection being evaluated, the judges will be convinced that this is rational, this is objective, okay, this is logical in nature. That is what. So I have no issues. I have absolutely no issues in saying that your business projections will not match with actuality. Point number one. Point number two, when we were doing all these things, when we were studying our business management some 30, 40 years back, there was no internet. There was only libraries. Okay, there was only books available. And how many books will you buy when you study? And some of the books used to be costing about then 500, 600 rupees. Sajesh, please. Okay. These could not be bought. So we were actually at a distinct disadvantage as compared to you. Today, for you, primary data, secondary data, tertiary data is available on the internet. You can go to CII, you can go to Federation FICCI, you can go to ASSOCHAM, you can go to industry bodies, and all these industry bodies and associations do have actual data of the business, actual data of the market, actual data of the performances. Now coming to the third one, all these listed companies, public listed companies, okay, all of them are mandatorily required to project their financials on the website. You can go to these companies, you can go to Infosys, you can go to Cognizant, you can go to Bharati Udyog Limited, the company's website, and you can pick up their financials from there, so that will give you accurate data. And the last one, even if the private company whose data is not there, if you pay a fee to ROC 150 rupees or 500 rupees, you get the data from them. So today, to get the actual data, there is no problem. So therefore, Nitin, if you say that it is difficult to get the data, I will not accept. I will not accept, because data is available on the internet. Primary, secondary, tertiary data is available on the internet. Industry bodies have the data. Companies are putting the data in their website. And by paying a fee, if that is not the case, by paying a small fee, you can get the data. So data is possible. The question is, are you willing to work hard to put the data onto your screen and project it accordingly? Okay. At the same time, I will also grant you, Nitin, that Nitin or Jitin, Joy?
It was Jitin.
Jitin. Okay, Jitin. At the same time, I will also grant that you don't go anywhere. You don't go anywhere. But you think solid. Solid. You think. He said, okay, by the logic of things, I am addressing X type of a market. My TAM, total addressable market, is this. My growth is this, and put it. If it is logical and convincing, nobody is going to ask you where did you get the data from. Okay, so one is a logical element, the other is actual data availability. Both are there, no problem. And the third thing, which I said first, I am repeating, there is no problem that if your data doesn't become actual. Your data has to be objective, rational, and logical. That's all. Okay. Thank you very much, Jiddu. You can do it, provided you're willing to try.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Another question again on the investment side. People are
Yeah.
much worried about investment patterns, it seems.
Yeah.
Sir, what tips do you have for a new entrepreneur to find the right kind of investors? The question is from Atul Ramesh.
Yeah, good question. Atul, there is a saying in English. It says, beggars can't be choosers. തെണ്ടുന്നവന് ആരുടെ കയ്യിൽ നിന്നാണ് കാശ് വരുന്നതെന്ന് ചോദിക്കാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല. ഞാൻ യൂസഫലിയുടെ കയ്യിൽ നിന്ന് മാത്രമേ കാശ് വരുന്നു എനിക്ക് പറയാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല. I can even take money from SR Nair or George Joseph, provided they are willing to give it. So to choose the fund giver is not an issue. The issue here is the proposition that you made, the business plan that you made, and the financial that you created is convincing enough, objective enough, logical enough for these people to go through it and say that yes, there is a possibility of this guy or this project or this company succeeding. Okay, so it is today. You go to the net, I'll tell you, there is something called CAN, KAN, Kerala Angel Network. There is a Chennai Angel Network. There is a Indian Angel Network. There is a Bangalore Angel Network. There is a Mumbai Angel Network. There is Bloom Ventures. There is Sequoia Capital. There are Axel Capital Partners. There is so many of them. So just go to the net and ask for a venture capitalist and the angel list. You will get the list. You go to their website. You put in your proposition, your executive summary. They will call you if they find that your proposition is good enough. Okay. So when they call you and say that now let us have a pitch, send us the pitch deck. You send the pitch deck. They said come and present. You present either virtually or physically, and they say it's a good presentation, we will fund you. So that's the way things go. So you can't be choosing as to whom to fund you. See, it's like, in Kerala, in many part of the country, you don't know whom your wife is, because most of the things are basically based on advertisements and shadi.com and Kerala marriage.com and all. So what do you do? But you know for sure that one of the girl is out there whom you marry, but you don't know who that is. It is something similar to that. It is similar to, but the thing is, you need to work hard in approaching them on their websites, put this across, and they will call you. Or there are things like TICON, there is things like TMA conferences, etc., where you go and network with the people and leave I told you about a case of VB Chandrasekharan taking money out of Kanwal Rekhi at Silicon Valley. So go and meet these people and say that I have this wonderful project, so why don't you fund me? And then he'll ask you to come and present. So that is the way things happen. So you can't choose your funder. The funder has to choose you. Yes, George.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It seems you have done an excellent job. People are not creating doubts.
No.
Can I request? There are, other than students, the mentors, the teachers also are likely to be in the group.
Okay.
Since Mr. SR Nair is available, if you want to ask and clarify something, you can use this platform. I would request you all. Sir, it's possible. It's okay, right?
It's okay. I also have a complaint here that is not specific to you or TMA. The problem that we have in Kerala, consistently seen by me in business schools, in colleges, in functions, in TICONs, etc., people refuse to ask questions. Okay. Now, a Malayali thinks that if I ask question, is somebody ridiculed that chammalau. That is what he is only worried about, his selfish ego. See, you go out and ask a question. People who ask the questions are people who are grown up to become big businessmen, industrialists, and professionals. So asking questions is critical. Ningalde jitnyasa, your inquisitivity can only be elaborated upon, can only be met by asking questions. But now that is one. Now, in this presentation that I made, I must have presented the last 32 slides and must have confused all the students sufficiently. So out of real confusion, they don't want to ask questions. That also is quite possible. Though I tried my best to actually present it in the manner that it could be understood, but I'm not sure that whether this has gone, what percent of this has gone. But there is also a possibility of people confusing. Okay. But whatever be the case, my request to, it is not that I want you to ask me questions that I will be pleased. I am doing this day in and day out. So I don't care, I don't mind. But the fact is, always I have understood that it is people who ask the questions who had come up in life, who built up the Burj Khalifas and the Empire State Buildings are built by people who ask the questions. When somebody said why, they asked why not. Somebody asked why not, they asked why. So these questions are asked. That is how they came up in life. That's for your understanding. You can still keep quiet. I don't mind. No problem. Thank you.
Ramaswamy sir, are you about to tell something?
No, not really, but I can certainly say a few things. First of all, I think we must all be very thankful to Mr. Nair for that absolutely outstanding talk. There is absolutely no doubt about it. I mean, forget the students, but seasoned professionals also had things to learn from that talk. There were many points. For example, somebody like, let me take myself. Somebody like myself who was, during my working life, prepared many business plans, implemented business plans, and more recently evaluated business plans. I can say that there were many points that I picked up, which were not exactly new, but certainly innovative approaches to the subject. And I think we must all be thankful to Mr. Nair. And I cannot resist here mentioning something about those students who dropped out. And many of them did. All I can say is that the loss is entirely theirs. I mean, I cannot, for the life of me, I cannot imagine that these students could not spare a bit of their time and their attention to listen to a talk like this. It doesn't come every day. They get an opportunity and they choose to drop out, either not participate or drop out. I'm sorry to say that these students simply lack the commitment. I hope the institutions, the colleges, convey this message to their student bodies and tell them that it is very important that they attend and listen to lectures like this. They don't come often. And when an opportunity comes, they need to grab it. I mean, that's what I need to say about the students. And basically, I think every point has been covered. There is really nothing one can add. Perhaps one point I can add, and that is the fact that if you are preparing a business plan in relation to the creation of a business out of some idea that you have, it's very important that you internalize that plan. Meaning it should be part of you. It should, in fact, for the initial 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever, that should be your life. It is that important. I mean, if promoters who work on these business plans, promoters who work on businesses, if they are woken up at 3 o'clock, they should be able to answer questions relating to their business. So that internalizing of the business plan is very important. Constantly updating is very important. It's not a static document because every day, literally, things change. Assumptions that they have made will change, and it's important that these are updated, not necessarily in a document, but certainly in their minds. It should be there. They should be able to present the latest information. But having said that, I mean, this doesn't apply to the business plan contest, because this is something which I noticed last time. There were unfortunately, many students who presented a business plan, and by the time the interview came, they changed various aspects of the plan. And when asked questions, the answer was no, we made changes. No, that is for the purpose of the business plan contest, that is not allowed. But in real life, I think this is a document which should not be treated as a static document. It should be constantly updated. And I can say a number of other things. Originality is one. I think Mr. Nair made a very forceful emphasis on that. The kind of resources that are available on the internet, I mean, that's mind-boggling. You can get just about anything you want, and it is important that students make intelligent use of these resources. I'm saying this from experience because last 1 or 2 years I have had occasion to notice, and I have had occasion to point out to certain groups of students that instead of trying to learn from the resources that are available and applying that knowledge to what they are doing, there were some students who unfortunately simply copied and pasted. That is not an intelligent use of the resources that are available. Originality is very key. You make use of all the resources, all the facilities, all the information available, but then when you make a presentation, make it your own presentation. Anyway, once again, thanks to Mr. Nair for making this wonderful presentation. It was very interesting for me, and I hope the students found it interesting too. They should have, but if they didn't, it is unfortunately their loss. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ramaswamy, sir. The concern, what you mentioned about the dropout, we will definitely pass on to the. One reason I could perhaps attach is because it's a working day. They were not having, the institutional arrangement to have a. That could be one of the reasons. Still, initially when it started with a 290, 295, that was a thrilling kind of number. Anyway, one more question from Mr. Hari from Nirmala College. Nirmala College of Management, Chalakudi. Sir, I have a question. Does it really need to be an utmost profitable idea? Nair sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Before I answer the question, I also welcome Mr. Vinod Manjula, who is the president of TMA on the stage. Wonderful to see you there. Very fresh as ever, and very fresh and smiling as ever. You're a treat to see. You're a treat to look at whenever somebody looks at your face. Always very charming and always very smiling. Okay. Now the question is, should businesses make profit? That's the essence of it, right? That is what they're saying.
That's right. Hari.
To me, I remember the first global investment meet that happened. That time it was a Congress ministry, and the opposition leader was Achyutanandan. It happened in Meridian Hotel at Cochin. So the inaugural function, the chief minister was there. That is Subban Chandi. Then there was opposition leader also was on the stage, and very adjacent to the opposition leader was Mr. Mukesh Ambani. Mr. Mukesh Ambani was sitting. Okay. And we know, all of us know that Mr. Achyutanandan is not very good at English. He's Malayalam. He's a very, he came from very humble background, and Malayalam is his means of communication. So he went into some animated discussion with Mr. Ambani. So we were watching that. We were sitting in the audience. We were watching that. So he was using his hands and this thing, and Mr. Ambani was shaking head and saying something. Later, during the research, somebody checked up, I think, with Mr. Ambani's secretary. So we realized that what Mr. Achyutanandan was telling Mr. Ambani, that profit okay, but no big profit. No big profit. This is what Mr. Achyutanandan was telling Ambani. He says you can profit, but not obscenely, which is always a concern attached with the socialist people. The people who follow a certain system of philosophy think that profitability is a very bad word as far as they are concerned. They said you should only make money for living. You should not be making money for. I mean, there are two thoughts about it. Some people think that the world is going to be that of rich people's world, and lesser people control the world, and bigger people, etc. So now, coming back to your question, and suddenly that is what struck my mind. Mr. Achyutanandan telling Mukesh Ambani, profit okay, no big profit, no big profit. Okay. See, it's like this. If you don't want to take, if today, if people say there are three things that three P's are discussed. One P is planet, the other P is people, and the third P is profit. Across the world, whether you go to Davos as far as Entrepreneur Summit is concerned, Economic Forum Summit is concerned, or anyway, three P's are being discussed. So it is people, planet, and profit. And if profit is not there, nothing will happen. So I bought something at 100 rupees, I sold for 105 rupees, I made 5 rupee profit, and I invest that 5 rupee back into my business, and then it becomes 110, and like that it goes. So if profit is not made, nothing will flourish. Surplus is required in business, surplus is required in commercial activity. Now, how much you make, it is again subjective. Let's say because it is dependent upon arbitrage, because $1 is equal to 75 rupees. And if you really look at such arbitrages, sometimes there is a possibility of huge profitability coming by the sheer foreign exchange, currency exchange itself. Okay. Now saying that, but we all of us understand out of the three P, 1 3 being profit means if profit is not there, nothing will happen. Surplus is not there, nothing will happen. So profit has to be there. That is first my first submission. Without profit, nothing will happen. Okay, profit has to be there. Only the profit will take care of the people. Only the profit will take care of the planet. If profit is not there, people is not there, planet is not there. This also has to be understood very well. Now the question is, what is the percentage of the profit that you make? It is up to you. It is up to you. So this is a philosophy that you follow. If Bill Gates makes 300% profit, TCS makes close to 100% profit. So Tata is considered to be a company of a lot of value and ethics. Most of you know about Ratan Tata, before that Jamshedji Tata, all of them we know the values that that organization actually work with. But TCS, a Tata company and a flagship Tata company today, is at 100% profit. It is buying back the shares from the shareholders. So the profitability is high due to very many factors. Now TCS says no, from now onwards I'll only make 20% profit. Then what happens? So then many things will not happen. The progress will not happen. So progress. So that is the fourth P. Progress happen. Okay. For both people and planet, only when the profit is there. And what is the extent of profit that you make depends upon the profit that you make. Of course, there is a rider. Many people hoard this profit and live such a splendid, such a life that others look at, see the wastage that happened. These are all very subjective things. But if somebody says I only make this level of a profit, I don't make this level of profit, I don't understand it, because profit makes people, profit makes planet, profit makes progress. So therefore it is up to you. It is based on your philosophy that what is the profit that you make.
Thank you, sir. Excellent message. Any other questions? Why you are so afraid of asking questions? No questions. If there are no questions, we will